Greetings, salutations, and all that jazz. For you old enough to remember that statement. Gentleman Jim here to Taylor.
Our illustrious Tailor, in-house Tailor. Victoria Baylor, Dressmaker. Hi guys, you found yourself in another episode of the Tailor and the Dressmaker Show. I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen you.
Yeah, it has. I was at my daughter's graduation. A wonderful experience to see all the graduates, not just my daughter, you know, and I cried a little for all of them.
Oh.
That they accomplished something that this fall I'm going to school.
Who?
Me.
Going to school for what?
I'm going to school.
Ooh.
I didn't go to school. As I always tell you guys, I'm just a brother from Harlem with a high school education. But I was bound for college before this industry. I always say this industry sidestepped me because I saw how lucrative it could be.
You didn't require college, given that you technically had a college education in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that said, I decided that I can go to school for free, period. That's number one.
That's even better. Yeah.
That's even better. And because I'm a writer, I couldn't figure out what would I go to school and take up. I don't need business, I don't need this, I don't need that. And I said, because I'm a writer, I'm going to school for journalism.
That's awesome.
Going to school for journalism.
That is great. Oh, well, we look forward to following your adventures.
I intend to continue my writing and take it to a level that was once done, is not done anymore. When I say that, I'm talking about creative stories, because I got some creative stories. and I think the world needs to hear all these stories about growing up in New York, how it really was. So I'm going to school for journalism this fall.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, we're all perpetual learners. We should always continue our education, whether formally or informally. That's really cool that you're going.
Yeah, I mean, I educated my children. What about Pop?
What about Pop? So, no, good deal. And I'm just now hearing that for the first time, so my reaction is a genuine congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Okay, let's go on with the show.
Oh, but a quick plug.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jim does have his autobiography, which he did write. So if you are interested in some of his earlier writings, that is available for anybody. A signed copy. Go to gumroad.com. I'll add the link. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So today we have, or actually for the entire month of May, we have an exciting show series coming up. We're going to call it the What Would You Do problem solving shows.
That's it.
For me.
That's it. Now let me say this. This also tells what we have been saying. We are going to put together a tour in the Southeast of where we're going to do 3-day workshops for people to bring these problems firsthand, and we fix them on the spot. You know, and it's a troubleshooting. It's because we're calling it troubleshooting workshop.
Yeah, because usually that's kind of that's most of the issues people have. I mean, it's one thing. So, okay, sewing is execution, right?
Yeah.
So you can learn the processes and the steps. But really what determines, and Mr. Jim and I've had this conversation all the time, what really determines whether you go from being just a learner to an expert is experience and then problem solving skills. How well you solve something. So you can be an expert. Like I consider myself to have expertise in sewing, even though I've not sewn every type of possible garment. But really what establishes expertise is how well you're able to solve problems and create solutions on the drop of a dime. I don't know about you, I've had lots of experience with that. And I know you have too, but you know.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, we also joked about is when you've been doing it so long, you do it without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
So with this show, what we're going to do is actually every show we're going to propose some problems. We're going to show you some problems. We're going to give you until next show to actually think about it, and we will disclose the solution. So that sounds like a good show?
There you go.
Okay. So, and I always like to point to the definition of craftsmanship. You know, we've talked about this too. Craftsmanship is the ability to be able to pretty much hide your mistakes. How often do you have mistakes happen when you're doing stuff, whether it's alterations or custom sewing?
A lot of times. One of the things that usually happens in sewing is you nick something.
Oh yeah.
You cut it a little too this way or a little too that way. How do you fix those things?
Exactly. So yeah, that's a good point. So different problems. Nicking stuff, inadequate fabric.
That's right.
So sometimes there's not enough for circumference. You buy and you don't have enough for a certain project. How do you fix that?
Snags.
Oh my gosh.
Snags is a big one. Snag. What do you do if you snag something? How do you fix that? There are solutions to everything. How do you react, or what do you do when you let something out and the holes show?
Yes. See, those are really
I got
good
little, something that I do all the time to get rid of that. What do you do when you make something longer, like a hem? How do you get that line off? How do you really get it off?
Oh, especially with like alterations?
Yeah, there's a trick to that, something new.
Yeah, exactly.
You made it new, you pressed it down, and you got to move it. And you got a line or something. How do you get rid of that?
And the interesting thing is, most people, it's funny, I know I have friends that are vehement. They're like, I don't do alterations ever. Well, maybe not for other people, but the truth be told is, if you sew and you're going to fix or tweak, you're doing alterations.
That's what you're doing.
So you're technically doing them. So it's kind of neat to know those kinds of strategies. So those are the kind of things we're going to actually cover. So for today's show, I have two off the top of my head I'd like to show, and they're actually two situations I kind of got myself into last week. So we'll do a close-up and talk about those. Did you want to say anything else about that?
No, I got some stuff to show you, but I want you to think about that.
Okay.
Because just those couple of little things are a challenge that a lot of sewers run into. Because like you say, it's not alteration. You're making something. You got to let it out. And some fabrics, the needle perforation leaves a hole.
Yes.
How do you get rid of that hole? I got ways to do that.
Okay. All right. So let's go take a closer look. Okay, everybody. So this is scenario number 1. What would you do with this problem? So say for instance, you have a pair of pants, which I have in front of me. Pants leg, and you want to go hem these pants and make them shorter. So obviously, usually when I hem, I denote exactly where I want to shorten them at. So I draw a line for shortening. And usually both legs are on top of each other, so you can kind of, when I mark, I can push this over and mark underneath, but I'm going to do one leg just for example. So there's my hem line, and then say for instance, I want about an inch wide hem to turn under. So there we go. So what happens if I'm in the process of hemming these pants, right? I got everything marked, I'm ready to go. And all of a sudden, I'm watching TV, and this is a true story. I'm watching TV and I go to actually cut the bottom line, which is my line that I'm actually going to turn up, and this is the hem. What happens if I cut this one by mistake? So that is the question. That's scenario number 1. If I cut into this hem a little bit, and say for instance I go in about 2 inches up, how would I fix this? Now mind you, this is supposed to be the bottom of the pants, so this is the part that's going to get turned under like this. But I just made a big cut in it, and this part is open. So we'll talk about that next week, and I'll show you exactly how I resolved that problem. And then on to problem number 2. Okay, and on to scenario number 2. So number 2 is I have a skirt here, and this could easily be a dress, a blouse, anything that requires a zipper. But I'm going to make a point about the zipper. What if you're in a situation where, let's just say for instance, you buy a ready-to-wear dress, which I did last year, or I'm sorry, which a client of mine did, and I needed to make a repair on the zipper. So if you buy this dress, say for instance, and you replace the zipper, and note everything goes in fine. So this is kind of black, you can't see. So say for instance the zipper goes in at the right height for both panels line up, especially if there is a seam line there. But you notice when you get to the bottom that there is a bubble right here. So say for instance this is not attached at the bottom, but there's a bubble of fabric right here just on this left side. So I don't know about you, but when I normally of course put in a zipper, you just of course start with one side. So this gets installed fine, and then I go over here and then I will baste in the second part. I will double check it, zip up all the way to the top, make sure everything is level, make sure the seam lines match up. So in this situation, everything matches up, right? But you end up with this weird bubble at the base of the zipper. And this is detached, so just kind of imagine with me, you'll get to see it next week. All of a sudden you have a bunch of fabric. So this pretty much is interpreted as this length of fabric is a little bit longer on this side where the zipper stops versus this, which is completely even. How do you get rid of that bubble fabric? Now normally if there was this bubble and the top was uneven, you know just to take the zipper out, reinstall, right? And then that would correct for this. But it's not an issue at the top of the zipper. That's level, both stops are level, the seam lines are level. It's something going on down here. And the good question is, what is it? Is it the fabric? Has something stretched out? What could it be? Could it be the lining underneath? Anyhow, how would you get rid of that bubbled fabric? Because taking it out and putting it back in is not going to get rid of if there's extra length here. So anyway, we'll talk about that on next week. Hope you think about that long and hard. All right, that's it.
So we thank you guys for hanging in here today with us. Think. Think about the things that, if not have gone wrong, could go wrong. Because a lot of times in sewing, you need to anticipate what could go wrong, even if it hasn't. How would you handle a situation? Sewing is about situations. If you make it, it's a situation. How do you put it together? If you alter it, it's a situation. How do you fix it, put it back together, and make it look right again? So, Gentleman Jim is saying, think.
Think for sure, and I couldn't agree with him more. Sewing for me, I believe, is like the ultimate chess game. A lot of people think a lot of brain energy isn't required to sew, but it actually is. And I agree with you. If you think first at the start of a project and anticipate issues and already have solutions for them, then your sewing will be like it will flow easily. So I totally agree. But this is Victoria Baylor. Think about our problems. We're going to come back next week with solutions.
That's right.
See y'all next week.
Okay.
Bye.